In the past 10 years or so, we haven't seen a team better at drafting than the Houston Astros.
With the first selection of the 2012 first-year player draft, the Houston Astros select Carlos Correa.
If you missed it earlier, he is now a part of the ball club.
When you consider preparing for a major league game. He drives this one a long way to right center field over Trumbo. Watching this one, turn into a ball.
This was the beginning of success, the beginning of a superstar. He came up at a time that the Astros desperately needed him. His 2015 MLB debut ended up being the biggest thing for the 2015 Astros, winning Rookie of the Year after playing above exceptional baseball. Good defense, good offense, you really couldn't complain. They later went on a playoff run and flew past the wildcard round. Later on in the divisional round, Correa became the youngest shortstop to ever hit a postseason home run.
Carlos Correa, a swing and a drive to left. And this game is tied.
History was made, but the Astros weren't quite good enough and they were eliminated. The future held something for Correa. Whether it was good or bad, I'll let you decide. Skipping past 2016, we enter 2017. The year that Carlos Correa became a top 5 shortstop in baseball. Correa had a .315 average, 24 homers, and a .941 OPS. This was the infamous season where they of course cheated using a trash can. This simply ruined the reputation of almost every Astro who was on that team. No longer were they known as this unbelievable winner. They were now known as this unbelievable cheater. Correa went on to have a bad 2018, but a good 2019. When all of this cheating stuff was exposed around the end of 2019/beginning of 2020, the Astros faced criticism from everyone, from Astros fans all the way to the other 29 teams. But it wasn't just the fans, it also became the players, and some became very vocal about how displeased that they were. Keep in mind, these teams had lost in the postseason to a cheating Astros team, and that included the LA Dodgers. Cody Bellinger of the Dodgers ended up speaking out about this situation.
You know, I thought the apologies were whatever. You know, I think what people don't realize is Altuve stole an MVP from Judge in 17. Everyone knows they stole the ring from us. But
a few days later, Carlos Correa was asked what he thought about Cody Bellinger's comments.
So when he talks about that we cheated for 3 years, I mean, he either doesn't know how to read, is really bad at reading comprehension, or is just not informed at all. But the commission's report clearly says all those activities were conducted in 2017.
Correa technically wasn't wrong, but still, cheating in a World Series year is just awful, and especially when you face little to no punishment afterwards. After the 2020 60-game season is when the Astros were finally able to move on from 2017, beginning a new sort of an era. Going into 2021, they no longer had George Springer, one of the team's biggest cheaters. The 2021 Astros came around and they were really good.
All the handshakes, but look how quick he got the barrel of the bat to the ball up, and he says, look what time it is. Yes, it's his time.
They finally returned to the World Series for the first time since 2017, this time against the Atlanta Braves. This was unfortunately a sad series for Houston for a few reasons. Number 1, they lost. Number 2, this was Correa's last game with Houston. He wanted to get paid a ton of money in free agency. Now, the downside for Correa is he was a free agent in the middle of a lockout, meaning he couldn't be signed for several months. Eventually, he did sign, and he signed with the Minnesota Twins. The Twins were a shocking landing spot for Correa. He had hired agent Scott Boras a few months prior, which meant that Correa would be top of the market price, which is actually what he came at, making $35 million a year, which is the second highest average annual value ever for a player. Not to mention, he had an opt-out clause after 1 year, so if he had a good 2023, he could opt out and get a better contract. Year 1 with
Minnesota
went really well. Good contact, good power, and a good year. He ended up opting out after year 1, and this is where the Carlos Correa saga began. As a free agent this time, he was a hot attraction yet again. Teams wanted him all across the league, but it all started with the San Francisco Giants. They were heavily pursuing Aaron Judge, hoping that he would become the team's franchise player. Unfortunately, after putting out a false tweet that he was signing with San Fran, he ended up signing back with New York. So this left the Giants in a situation where they could go sign a different option. Star shortstop Carlos Correa, a 13-year contract worth $350 million. Correa would be breaking the bank with this deal. He later went into San Francisco, and he even went house shopping, until hours before the introductory press conference, the Giants canceled it. No one knew why, and it just kinda happened. The next day, it was being reported that he would be signing with the New York Mets. Correa's agent, Scott Boras, gave his explanation on why this happened. Apparently, the Giants wanted to talk to external doctors regarding Correa, and Boras gave them a time frame for how long that the Giants would have, and they ended up just being too late. So he signed with the Mets on a 12-year deal worth $315 million. The Mets were already having a spending spree, and this would only be another guy to add to that bunch. Owner Steve Cohen said that Correa would put them over the top as a team. 3 days later, the Mets began to get worried about his physical. Ultimately, this resulted in the Mets attempting to add a bunch of clauses into his contract, and Boras was not having it, and negotiations completely fell apart. Several weeks later, Correa went back to the Twins on a 6-year deal worth $200 million. The Correa saga is something that we will never forget, and is truly one of the most odd moments in MLB history. Hey, real quick, let me interrupt you. If you could subscribe and turn on the post notification bell, it would really help me out a lot if you are enjoying this video. Anyways, enjoy the rest. Returning to the Twins was probably the right move for both sides anyway, considering how good that it worked out in the first year, right? Until everything fell apart for Correa in his second year, as he significantly declined as a player, putting up the worst WAR of his career with a 1.4 WAR. One of the league's best shortstops had such a harsh decline. But the question is how and why? Will he rebound? What is next for Correa? First things first, it all starts with the mechanics and figuring everything out and working on himself this offseason. 2 weeks ago, Correa said that he will finally be healthy going into this year, and he also said that he's going to be developing a new swing that will be simpler. There's a very good shot that he does rebound in 2024 because of that, and honestly, I expect it. We know for sure that the Twins absolutely need Correa to be at his very best. Hopefully, we see that next year. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe if you did enjoy. It only helps out this channel. If not, thanks for watching anyway, and peace out.
I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right. It feels right.